She heard the deal before she understood it. The young blind girl stood quietly in the hallway, fingers tracing the cracks in the peeling wallpaper, as her stepmother's voice cut through the house. "She's no trouble," the woman said flatly. "You won't regret this." At 17, Lily had learned to survive on silence. Since losing her sight at 9, she had depended on kindness that rarely came. Her father was gone, and her stepmother treated her like a burden, an extra mouth, an inconvenience. So when a sleek black car pulled into the driveway and a stranger with a calm, measured voice introduced himself as a CEO, Lily felt more confused than afraid. She wasn't adopted. She wasn't hired. She was sold. That night, she expected the worst. Instead, she was led into a quiet home that smelled of cedarwood and fresh coffee. The man, Mr. Callahan, spoke gently, not to her blindness, but to her. He asked what music she liked, what she dreamed about. No one had asked her that in years. Then came the unthinkable. "I didn't buy you," he said softly. "I paid her so you'd be free." Lily's breath caught. Free? He explained he had grown up in foster care, invisible and unheard. When he learned about her situation through a community worker, he made a choice, not to own her, but to protect her. That night, Lily didn't cry from fear. She cried because, for the first time in years, someone saw her humanity. Sometimes, the greatest wealth isn't money. It's compassion. And one act of courage can turn someone's darkness into light. The next morning, Lily woke up expecting it all to disappear. For years, hope had been a dangerous thing. It made disappointment sharper. So when she felt soft cotton sheets beneath her fingers and heard birds outside an open window, she braced herself for someone to yell, to criticize, to remind her she didn't belong. Instead, there was a gentle knock. "Good morning, Lily." Mr. Callahan's voice came warm and steady. "I made breakfast. I hope you like pancakes." No one had ever made breakfast for her before. At the table, he didn't rush her. He described everything on her plate so she could find it easily. He didn't hover, didn't pity. He simply treated her like she mattered. And then he said something that shifted her world. "I've already enrolled you in a school for visually impaired students," he explained. "Orientation and mobility training, Braille technology, music programs. You deserve independence." Independence. The word felt bigger than the house. Lily had spent years being told what she couldn't do. She couldn't help. Couldn't study properly. Couldn't live alone. But this stranger, this millionaire CEO with boardrooms and headlines, spoke to her as if her future was limitless. Still, a small voice inside her whispered, "Why?" That evening, she finally asked. There was a pause before he answered. "Because someone once helped me when they didn't have to. I promised myself, if I ever had the power to change a life, I would." In that moment, Lily realized something unexpected. She hadn't been rescued because she was helpless. She had been chosen because she was worth investing in. And for the first time since losing her sight, the darkness didn't feel so endless. 3 weeks later, Lily walked into her new school with a white cane in her hand and fear in her chest. The air buzzed with unfamiliar voices, lockers clicking, shoes brushing against polished floors. But this time, no one whispered about her like she was fragile. No one sighed as if she were a burden. For the first time, she wasn't the blind girl. She was just Lily. Her instructors taught her how to navigate busy streets, how to read Braille faster than she ever imagined, how to use assistive technology that could turn textbooks into speech. Every small victory felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. One afternoon, during a music class, her fingers drifted across piano keys. She had always loved music. Back in her old house, she would hum softly at night, imagining stages and spotlights she could never see. But here, when she played, the room fell silent. "You have perfect pitch," her teacher whispered. That evening, Mr. Callahan attended her first small recital. He sat in the front row, not as a CEO, not as a rescuer, just as someone who believed in her. When she finished playing, the applause felt like sunlight. But the real twist came afterward. A representative from a youth arts foundation approached her teacher. They offered Lily a scholarship to train with professional musicians in the summer. Lily stood there stunned. For years, she had been treated like an expense. Now she was being seen as an investment. On the drive home, she turned toward Mr. Callahan. "You didn't just change my life," she said quietly. "You gave me a future." He smiled. "No, Lily. You're building that yourself." And for the first time, she believed him. The night of the summer showcase, Lily's hands trembled backstage. The auditorium was packed. She could feel it, the hum of hundreds of voices, the warmth of stage lights against her skin. Months ago, she had been hidden away in a small, unhappy house. Now she was minutes away from performing for an audience that included donors, musicians, and community leaders, including one unexpected guest. Earlier that week, her stepmother had called. Not to apologize. Not at first. She had heard about Lily's scholarship, about the CO, about the performance. And for the first time, her voice didn't sound cold, it sounded small. "I didn't think you'd amount to anything," she admitted quietly. "I was wrong." The words didn't erase the past, but they cracked something open. When Lily stepped onto the stage, she carried more than sheet music in her memory. She carried every insult, every lonely night, and every act of kindness that rebuilt her. She began to play. The melody started soft, fragile, like a child searching for light. Then it swelled, bold, triumphant, alive. Each note told a story of darkness transformed, of someone choosing compassion over convenience. By the final chord, the room was silent. Then came a standing ovation. But the true climax wasn't the applause. It was the realization blooming in Lily's heart. Forgiveness felt lighter than anger. She could move forward without carrying bitterness. After the show, Mr. Callahan hugged her gently. "You didn't just play music tonight," he said. "You changed hearts." And Lily understood something powerful. Kindness doesn't just rescue someone. It multiplies. And tonight, its echo filled an entire room. This one far bigger. The banner behind her read, "Voices Beyond Sight." Reporters from New York, London, and Toronto filled the room. But Lily no longer felt small in large spaces. She felt ready. The foundation she had started provided music education and mobility training for visually impaired children from low-income families. Kids who, like her, had once been told they were limitations instead of possibilities. And seated in the front row was Mr. Callahan, a little older now, but smiling the same way he had on that very first morning over pancakes. When Lily reached the microphone, the room quieted. "I used to believe my life ended the day I lost my sight," she began. "Then I believed it ended the day I was sold." A soft murmur rippled through the crowd. "But what actually ended," she continued, voice steady, "was my belief that I was unwanted." She paused. "One person chose compassion. One person decided I was worth protecting. And because of that, I learned something powerful. Your circumstances don't define your value." The audience rose in applause before she even finished. Later, as cameras flashed and children hugged her, Lily leaned toward Mr. Callahan. "You didn't just free me," she said. "You started a chain reaction." He shook his head gently. "No, Lily. You did that the moment you chose hope." That night, driving home under a sky she couldn't see but could feel in the cool air, Lily smiled. Sometimes the unthinkable isn't tragedy. Sometimes it's kindness. And when compassion meets courage, even the darkest night can lead to a life filled with light.